Everybody, welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football home over at fakepigskin.com. I'm your host, Kyle Robert. You can follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me tonight from the man cave, from the dog pen, it's Ron the Mad Dog McCleese. What's up, Mad Dog?
Hey, it's great to be back. You know, week 5 was unbelievable. A lot of injuries. Obviously, we'll get to that. A lot of big performances. A lot of guys who just, crap the bed for us out there. I do want to shout out to his sweetness here. I was going to wear the Alshon Jeffrey jersey just kind of in tribute to our special guest tonight, but I thought better of that since he's no longer with my team. And, hey, they're playing Monday Night Football, so once again, we're clocking in during a game. And if there's any updates you want to throw my way, please don't do that. But
Are you recording
I don't care,
it?
actually.
You don't want me to say anything?
No, I really don't care.
All right.
It's all good because probably going to lose. So,
Yeah,
it's a risky time.
My team plays next week on Monday Night, Ron, so I'll know your pain next week. As you guys know, here on Mondays, we are going to go through all the news, all the relevant information, get you guys waiver wire ads, get you everything you need to know before the waiver wire, before setting your lineups in week 6. I can't believe, we're rapidly approaching week 8, which is the midpoint of the NFL season. Week 6 is kind of the midpoint of the fantasy season. It's incredible. We waited so long for it to get here. And it's here, and now it's gone, and it's crazy how time flies. But to help us break everything down, you know him from Fake Pigskin, you know him from the Dynasty Zone podcast. You've seen him here, there, and everywhere. It's the Dynasty Infidel himself, Tom Corson. What's up, Tom?
Hey, what's going on, boys? I'm pretty excited to be here. I like you guys almost quite as much as Mike Trout. But I went to the Eagles game yesterday. I sent out a couple pictures and sat extremely close to Mike Trout. Watched the Eagles absolutely stomp Regan's Cardinals. So I'm happy. I didn't get to watch a ton of football yesterday, especially the 1:00 games. But you know what? It didn't matter because I got to see Carson Wentz light it up.
Yeah, and we are going to talk about Mr. Carson Wentz because he looked incredible. It is always a unique experience going to a game. Obviously, it's a lot of fun, cool to see everything live. But then I feel like I'm missing out on a lot too. So, Tom, is it something you try in maybe 1 or 2 games a year, or do you try and get to as many games as possible and figure it out? What's kind of your strategy there?
So, I have a unique situation with my tickets. I get to go to a couple games a year. And I got to go to something called the Tunnel Club, which is, if you've seen it in Dallas, it's actually down in the tunnel where the players come out. The Eagles actually did the same thing. So get really good seats. Went last year. I have a nice little hookup to go down there and got to do that. Otherwise, I get to go a couple other times a year and just have a good time. But you do miss a ton, so much so that we were in the Eagles' home end zone, and the only score we saw was a field goal in the 4th quarter. Everything else was down the other end. I don't even know if they crossed midfield more than 3 times coming at us. But you know what? It was a lot of fun. Got to watch Carson Wentz throw. I watched a lot of Carson Wentz's back yesterday, but he was throwing it far, and it was good. But I you do miss a ton though. I prefer to watch it at home for the most part if I'm going to be, analyzing anything. But good part is with an all-22 and the internet, you get to catch up on everything.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible the way technology is. Ron, what about you? Are you a fan of staying on the couch and watching as many games as possible, or do you try and get to a game and take in the whole live experience?
I had a Sunday ticket, so I'm blessed with that. The red zone, I'll kind of just pick and choose. I'll tape some games as they're going on. I just flip back and forth. Usually spend less time watching the Bears than any team. That's how bad it is right now. But
that's kind of what I do too, so it's all good.
Yeah, I want to sit on my couch, watch it, if my wife allows that, and if not, I will go downstairs to the man cave where I have 2 TVs set up, so I don't miss anything. And if I do, that's why you have DVR, so you just go back and rewind it.
Yeah, that's cool because Sunday Ticket also does offer those condensed games, so you can kind of power through stuff. There's a player you really want to see what happened or why different things went the way it did. So, but let's talk about some quarterbacks. But, we got a lot to get into. Obviously, a ton of injuries, a ton of negative stuff. Let's just talk some positive stuff. A couple years ago, there was this crop of rookie quarterbacks, Ron. We got to see some of them up close, including Carson Wentz, including Dak Prescott. And we were pretty excited about the potential of kind of the next wave of quarterback. And boy, have they not disappointed. Dak Prescott is your QB5 through 6 weeks. Carson Wentz is your QB8, including those 4 touchdowns against the Arizona Cardinals. And
he's going to throw for 4 against Carolina too, baby. Don't worry.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Thursday night. And Jared Goff, I know the game against Seattle wasn't one of his best, but even so, he's QB10 at this point, looking really good. Tom, you're obviously our Eagles fan. You're in Philly. Do you have a preference kind of going forward for the rest of this season at least? Is Carson Wentz your guy? Do you think it's close with him and Dak? Like, where are you at with this trio?
I'm still going to take Carson Wentz over him, and maybe that's me being a homer. I doubt it, but I have always thought Dak Prescott has been a little bit overrated. His numbers right now, I don't know if he can sustain them through the air if Zeke is going to wind up getting the suspension, because they're going to wind up just dropping back and making Dak beat, as opposed to having Zeke have to beat you. He constantly gets a little bit of a better setup than Carson Wentz does, even though the Eagles inexplicably are running the ball now. So that's good. But I like Carson moving forward. He does get to play against Dallas. He gets to play against the Giants, even Washington. You know what I mean? So, and I know that the Eagles secondary has been much maligned, but at the same time, that defense has played a lot better. Mm-hmm. And if I'm going to have anybody, I would rather have a team with an easier schedule. And to me, that's Carson Wentz going down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing him not only get Alshon Jeffrey, but get Torrey Smith, and the surprise reemergence of Nelson Aguilar has been nice. And Zach Ertz was one of my favorite players coming into the season. He's definitely exploded, and it's been awesome to see. I was a little pessimistic on Dak. He's obviously proved me wrong to this point. And Zeke staying healthy, I think, also helps in the fact that he hasn't been suspended and all that good stuff. Ron, what about you? Where are you at with these trio of quarterbacks? Who are you looking at kind of the rest of the way as somebody you're really excited about?
I mean, to me, it's more like that 1A, 1B, because I think if you have, in any format, if you have Dak or Wentz, I think you got to be really happy about owning either one of these guys moving forward. Goff, I'm just kind of pumping the brakes because I feel like he's got off to a hot start. The offense is looking a lot better. He's got those weapons now that he didn't have before. He's going to have more of these tougher matchups and rough games that that lie ahead. So I kind of temper my expectations with him. For me, it kind of comes down to who, as far as like with Dak, you get the dual threat capability. He scored a rushing touchdown this week. That's something that he will do from time to time. You'll see him run the ball. If I'm looking more for a pocket passer, I think that guy's definitely Wentz. I really love what I'm seeing from him, the maturation process in his second year. Going into this game, he led all quarterbacks in third down and fourth down conversion percentage at like 54%. So, the guys right behind him are greats. Aaron Rodgers like 49, Tom Brady like 48. So that was before this past week's game. So again, that to me it shows there's leadership skills. I think an elite type quarterback, if you're going to be at that level, the two most important things are third and fourth down conversions, and then red zone conversions, and actually being able to put 6 on the board for your team. So I think that's an area where he's been really proficient at this year so far. Having said that, yeah, we saw that from him last year kind of early on, but he didn't have those weapons. So, and he was a rookie, so I'm kind of giving him a mulligan for last year's kind of, rookie wall per se that he hit, maybe 5-6 weeks into the season. But I just really like the weapons. And if Aguilar's a thing, man, this guy, it's just another weapon he has. So, I mean, you mentioned Ertz, Kyle, and he's definitely been great. Alshon, the fact that they scored 21 points in the first quarter, and I was watching that game pretty much all the first quarter because I wanted to see how he was going to perform. And the fact that he put up 3 touchdowns and Alshon Jeffrey really wasn't even a part of that. A couple of completions here and there, but nothing big. Yeah. That to me proves another point that, he can be so much better when Alshon and him have that chemistry. So it's coming, man. So I like the weapons, and I don't know that, the whole thing Tom brought up with Zeke, yeah, that's got to be in the back of your head. Plus, you got to think about the fact that Dez is kind of injury prone. He's like Julio. You never know, ankle, foot, whatever it is. I love Dez, don't get me wrong, but that's in the back of my head too. So if he was to go down, there's really no one else there. And if he lost
Cole Beasley got 2 touchdowns. What about that?
Royce Cutler.
I'm with you in terms of Wentz. Wentz really doesn't care which pass catcher gets the ball. I mean, obviously Zach Ertz gets a lot of his work, but outside of that, I mean, he's not funneling targets to Jeffrey like we saw during his time in Chicago, and to that, he's obviously he had one big game against KC where he had 13 targets, but 4, 6, 8, and 7. 3 catches, 4 catches, 3 catches. If he's kind of touchdown dependent and not getting a ton of yards. Tom, where are you at with Aguilar? Obviously, I love coming out of USC, kind of let everyone down. Now he's kind of improved, bounce back. I don't know that he can be a guy you can trust every single week, but do you think he's a guy that owners should kind of hold on to, and if you find a good matchup, you find a good spot to use him, then you deploy him at that point?
Yeah, no, I think he's actually moving forward a decent option if you're in a best ball. If you're in a best ball, that's the most ideal spot for him, obviously. But if you have Alshon go down or Torrey Smith go down, Nelson Aguilar can then step into that role as far as getting the targets. I don't think he's going to slide to that outside spot quite as much because he seems to be much more suited into the slot along with Zach Ertz. That's where he's getting most of his snaps now, which is nice. And then he's just hitting those seams, and then Carson's just taking it to him. So that's really good. I think one thing that we're all discounting is the fact that Torrey Smith made his first nice long catch of the year for a touchdown yesterday. That's another one that I think we're forgetting about. And in Philly, people have kind of said, okay, well, Torrey Smith isn't really being that productive, but again, Torrey Smith doesn't have to be that productive for this offense to be productive, because what he does is stretch the field and open things up for Zach Ertz and open things up for Alshon Jeffrey and open things up for Nelson Aguilar. And he opens up the run game because you have to have at least 2 safeties back most of the time. So the offense is really in sync. People in Philly were getting on Doug Peterson a little bit for the play calling earlier in the season, but he seems to have figured it out, and Carson spreads the ball around. I don't know if you're ever going to have a wide receiver 1 in Philly most weeks, but at the same time, wide receiver 2, 3, or a flex option, I think you can get multiple receivers out of the Eagles each week. And if you pick Aguilar, you just got to pick the right game and pick the right matchups. But he and Torrey Smith, I think, are going to wind up being big play dependent. So if you have to take a shot as far as who you're playing, if you need those points, take a shot, throw him in your lineup in some weeks, and he might pay off for you like he did yesterday.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, real life football kind of gets shadowed by fantasy football, and guys like Torrey Smith make a big difference because, like you mentioned, now the defense is worrying about him going deep. Now, Zach Ertz is having his breakout season. And Carson Wentz looks really good. And now the running game, has gotten much better the past couple weeks. So it's definitely something to keep in the back of your head. And I like both those guys, as kind of dart throws or later round or kind of just guys to pick up, throw them in, and hope for the upside. I do
especially with bye weeks. So
absolutely, and those are coming hot and heavy now. Obviously, we had 4 last week. We'll have 4 more this week. But I do want to talk about Deshaun Watson for a little bit. This is full disclosure, as a guy that I was not on for last week. I thought the Chiefs defense would wreck shop, and I don't know. I kind of feel like validated a little bit. But he threw 5 touchdowns, so he was obviously amazing. He's a QB7 at this point, back-to-back weeks of 5 touchdowns. But he only had 16 completions. Like that is one out of every 3 passes. 3 passes that were complete was a touchdown. Nuke Hopkins caught 4 balls, and 3 of them for touchdowns. Will Fuller caught 2 balls, and both of them were touchdowns. Like that kind of productivity. And
what are you trying to say, Kyle?
I'm trying to say that we can't.
He's Chris Carter. All he does is throw touchdowns.
Yeah, we have to. I don't know. Like Deshaun's been incredible. He's obviously showing a ton of poise, but like that kind of touchdown rate for his pass catchers and for himself, like that's gonna come down a little bit, right, Ron? Like I'm not just trying to
realistically, yeah, 9 touchdowns, 1 pick in the last 2 weeks, against Kansas City and your Tennessee Titans. I don't know their defense. I can't speak for because it's not shown up at all this year. But the Chiefs, yeah, I mean it was garbage time. But in fantasy we don't really care. We could give, what less because hey, garbage time points they count. And yeah, he got it done late in the game. The other thing I do like too is kind of in the same vein as a guy like Dak. He is going to, give you those rushing touchdowns, kind of like Mariota. He's had a couple this year. He had that big run against Cincinnati in his first start where he only threw for 125 yards. So that salvaged what was, not a really great start for him. But again, he's a rookie, so we have to kind of temper expectations. But the fact that he's doing it kind of reminds me a little bit of Cam Newton's rookie season. But I think he might actually, when it's all said and done, he might be better than Cam is because of the weapons he has. And
let's pump the brakes there. Let's pump the brakes.
Hey.
I'm not saying now. I'm saying long term.
We'll see.
Long term.
We'll see. We'll see. I do want to thank Cam Newton though. As soon as I said, "Oh yeah, Cam's done. Let's throw him to the waiver wire," he decides that he wants to go off and completely torch the Patriots and Lions in back-to-back weeks, and make me look like a big idiot.
It is coming to an abrupt halt.
So yeah.
Hold on. He did do it against the #1 fantasy scoring defense this past week. That's the Lions. Maybe it's been smoke and mirrors. I think that's kind of Darius Slay's been unbelievable in that secondary. They killed. They should have beat Atlanta, but still.
Yeah, well, and the one thing Ron Rivera came out and was basically like, Cam didn't have a preseason. Like he threw 2 passes all preseason. So the first month of the season was basically him figuring it out, and that's why he looked awful. And I'm really curious to see the rest of the way, and everyone's all over the Andrew Luck returning potentially. Obviously, he's already been ruled out for Monday against the Titans. So who knows? But, it could take him 3-4 weeks to get back to a spot where he's actually, looking more like Andrew Luck. So, Tom, where are you at with Andrew Luck? Is he a guy you're holding in redraft?
I am holding him. I have to hold. At this point, if you're holding him, you're holding him. You're not just going to cut him now that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully you're like me and you got somebody like Stafford or I got Dak in a league where I have Luck too. So I think I have Wentz in another league. So I have Wentz and Luck. So I'm actually going to be coming up to that point where I'm going to start having a difficult decision from week to week as far as which quarterback to play, which, it's like rich people problems. I'm not going to complain about it.
Hashtag first world problems.
Yeah, there you go.
Is it the Maserati or the Lamborghini? What do you take out?
Which one am I driving to work today?
Well, which model, buddy? I mean, is it raining? Because I'm not taking the Lambo out in the rain.
Which chick is it you want to impress?
My wife, I think. Yeah, my wife. No, I'm not bringing anybody else in there. Yeah, no. But back to Watson briefly, real fast. I've got some contradicting things real fast. I think he was 2 for 8 or 2 for 11. His first, 11 or 8 passes. I forget exactly which one it was. And we know he can't keep that touchdown rate up. It's like Chris Hogan getting 16 touchdowns. Is that going to happen? I don't think they can be on pace. However, this is where the contradicting comes in. You have J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless. I'm sorry. They're both going to be out for the season. So that defense is going to be hurting a little bit. So they're going to have to get catch up. And
don't talk about that defense.
That's
Tom.
funny. But no, they're gonna be hurting, and it doesn't matter. You said it before. It doesn't matter if it's garbage or not. Like I won a fantasy football championship years ago on Cecil the Garbage Man shorts for Jacksonville, just picking up garbage and garbage and garbage. So if you have a quarterback, hell, is the same thing with Andrew Luck. Last year he'd go into halves with 2 points, and all of a sudden he'd wind up with 30 because he would get all the third and fourth quarter points and everything. So if you can get Watson, go out and get him because he might be a guy who's actually out there on the waiver wire. But what were we talking about before I started rambling on?
I don't know. We're talking about Luck, and but that's my point exactly. If you can get Watson, if you can get Wentz, if you can get Prescott, like I'm rolling with these guys. They're playing amazingly. Obviously, like you mentioned with the Texans defense getting depleted, it's more signs for the offense to have to put up a little more points, and Bill O'Brien clearly trusts the guy, which is awesome to see from a rookie. Could things go bad? Yeah. Will there probably be a 3 or 4 interception game at some point? Probably. But if he keeps racking up these touchdowns, you got to roll him out there. And with bye weeks and all that stuff coming, it's definitely like I'm fine sending luck to the graveyard and rolling with whoever I happen to have. I will say. I mean,
real quick, Kyle, just say if you're playing like ESPN leagues and you have that IR slot, like I have him in one keeper league where I took him in the 10th round, and I was laughing. I was like, you guys are amateurs. I'm like, you let me take Andrew Luck in the 10th round, I'm taking him and I'm sitting on him. But yes, there will come a point where I'll be like, if I have 3 or 4 different injuries, I lost David Johnson in that league too. So, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is David Johnson or someone like that's going to be in your spot, and he's not going to come back till week 9 or week 10, and then all of a sudden he needs a couple weeks to kind of tune up to get to where so your season's over. Like, we'll see who's laughing come season's end, Ron. If you get to play him a bunch, then you'll be happy. But
and then the other point is Chuck Pagano is a lame duck coach, and Chris Ballard just got the job. So what incentive does that franchise have to bring him back?
Yeah.
He's gone. Pagano's gone. You want to keep him healthy.
Tom, the fans, don't they want to see Andrew Luck?
Tickets are already sold out.
Yeah.
Likely. And Irsay's going to buy whatever else. He doesn't care. He's already showed that he doesn't care.
Hold on. How about the ones that they're burning, though?
Maybe.
Bad joke. Sorry, I went there.
Yeah, but like, okay, you burning tickets, and then you'll just use your tickets that are on your phone because you got them all in digital, and you're still at it. Yeah, that's another story for another day. Bye weeks this week. We got Buffalo, we got Cincinnati, we got aforementioned Dallas Cowboys and Seattle Seahawks. So Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott. There's the AJ Green. There's some big names. So waiver wire is going to be important this week. Make sure you have that all-important depth. Ron, before we get to all the injuries and all the stuff before we hit waiver wire, I do want to thank our sponsor, Draft. Check out playdraft.com/fakepigskin or download the app from Google Play, from iTunes, whatever. Put in promo code fakepigskin. Deposit $5. $5 all it takes. You get Fake Pigskin Premium membership where you get a ton of great content, tons of articles, DFS stuff. We got NBA and NHL DFS coming on you hot and heavy. Obviously NFL DFS. And playing on Draft is a cool, unique way to play. I mean, you do a draft, so only one person can have Dak Prescott, only one person can have Deshaun Watson, so you're not going to get up against all these sharks that are building these crazy lineups with algorithms. There's a lot more fluidity to it, so people are winning more.
We also have a lot of dynasty material out there. Shane Hallam, he's a Devy expert, so there's guys out there we brought on recently to Fake Pigskin, great writers that we had before, but we're just adding to that. So definitely take Kyle's advice. $5. It's the smartest $5.
It's the best $5 you'll ever spend. So check them out and enjoy all of our awesome content.
I was in Thailand once, and $5 buys you a lot there.
That's what I've heard. That is what I've heard.
God.
I've never been to Thailand. Ron told me. I don't know.
I've never been there, so Japan, different story. But anyway.
And then it comes out. There you go.
Karaoke bars, okay.
Yeah, $5 won't get you much in Japan, but that's another story for another day. Let's talk about the destroying of the Giants receiving core. Did every single Giants wide receiver get injured in Week 5? Yes, they did. Odell Beckham, fractured ankle, done for the year. See you next year, OBJ. Brandon Marshall sprained his ankle. Giants expect him to miss multiple weeks. Sterling Shepard, ankle injury, also expected to miss multiple weeks. And just for shits and giggles, Dwayne Harris, broken foot. He is also done for the year. Eli Manning was I mean, that's just ridiculous. Like that has to be some sort of record. That has to be some sort of record.
So I had a friend, and I wish I could take credit for it, but it's the one clever thing that my friend Ronnie has ever come up with. Not this Ron. He basically said OBJ was crying so much ahead of time because the Giants basically said, hey, it's your turn to get hurt today, and I'm really sorry, but this is going to hurt a lot. He was crying like 4 times before he even got hurt. Did you see him getting hugged by that guy on the sideline? Did anybody see this?
No, I didn't see it.
I will put the GIF out to you guys afterwards. But
I don't watch the Giants.
It's
Tom,
so weird.
They're like the one matchup every week, unless they're playing a team
mean,
that I actually care about.
Last week,
I don't watch
his finger was bent sideways. Obviously, had the nasty injury in the preseason. This guy has just been banged up each and every week. So,
and people were burning him when he was holding out because he, the contract. So where to get him?
Yep. So I guess, what are we doing with the Giants going forward? Are we dropping Eli Manning? Obviously, was a borderline streamer, was fine if you needed somebody. Wayne Gallman is somebody we can kind of get excited about, but without any pass catchers, I mean, good luck running with that offensive line. And Evan Engram is probably the one piece that I would consider keeping around just because he's going to get so much work. But Ron, I'll let you start. What are you doing with the other weapons now that basically their receiving core has been wiped off the field?
Yeah, it's like a nuclear bomb hit, and in New York, that's a bad joke. But yeah, I mean, their receiving core is gone. I think the only one, honestly, is Evan Engram. I mean, we're going to get to it later with the Clay injury. That's a major bummer for me in those leagues where I have Clay and Evan Engram still floating around. He's going to be a guy I'm going to look to go add. Outside of him, yeah, Gallman, if you're really just desperate running back.
Orleans Darkwa got the touchdown this week, so all of us that picked up Gallman hoping he would actually get some work. I mean, he got another 11 carries, and looked pretty good doing it. But Darkwa got the touchdown, so that one hurt a little bit. Tom, are you keeping these running backs around just in hopes, or are you trying to find other options if there's anything out there?
I'll try and find other options. There's another guy we're going to talk about later on that I would greatly prefer to anybody. I think the only person that holds any fantasy value for the rest of the year right now is Evan Engram, which you said earlier, because there's nobody to catch the ball. So I don't even know what's going to happen with Eli. Like, the line is atrocious. At what point do you just try and bring Davis Webb in?
Right. Well, could they trade Eli for something?
Abandoned ship, mutiny.
Is there a team maybe like Minnesota goes, well, Bradford, who's supposed to be playing tonight, doesn't look very good, and we're worried about Bridgewater, or maybe I don't know, maybe the Arizona Carson Palmer looks like a mess. Is there a team that thinks, maybe if we add Eli, we could have? I mean, what about Jacksonville? Their defense looks amazing. The running game looks great. Could Jacksonville call up the Giants? Tom Coughlin's down there now. Hey, send Eli down here. We'll start his retirement package a little early, and I don't know. It's just something to keep an eye on. But yeah, I think
who has more turnovers right now, Eli or Blake Bortles?
Well, Blake's not throwing, so I think it has to be Eli, right?
Yeah. Ew.
Yeah. Putrid.
I mean, Blake Bortles threw for 95 yards on Sunday. Like, to throw.
Fournette almost had that on a run.
Yeah. Oh, I loved. I don't know if you guys saw much of that game, but Mike Mitchell was like running towards Fournette, and he like basically challenged him to tackle him, and then he just ran him over and was like laughing at him the whole way. It was amazing.
I saw him call him out afterwards. I was like, how do you what? You're a man.
Yeah, Fournette's a salve. Like, I was a little pessimistic on him this year, just because of that line and because of that offense, but he's looking really good, and they're finding with that defense and the running game, they're finding ways to kind of stay in it. It's what Dallas did a couple of years ago when they finally got Zeke in there, and the running game looked good, even with Darren McFadden. It's just you run the crap out of the ball and you play really good defense. They did the same thing with DeMarco Murray. So,
you know what, Kyle? Mike Mayock said it best at the combine. He's like, because we were all like knocking Fournette for the vertical or lack of vertical.
Yeah.
And he said he's not going to jump over you. He's just going to run through you. I mean, seriously, that's exactly what he's doing.
Dude, he's like a Mack truck. We got a question from the live chat. Shouts to Brian. If you guys have questions, leave them in there. We talked about Deshaun Watson. We talked about kind of that offense without, or the defense taking all the shots. What are we doing with Lamar Miller? Is he still a guy where obviously, we were kind of worried about Donta Foreman kind of stealing that gig, and in terms of snap count, in terms of touches, Lamar Miller has kind of proved that that's not happening anytime soon. But, with Watson throwing it all over the field, do we feel a little better about Lamar Miller? Do we have concerns with Watson being able to throw? Tom, kind of what are you doing with Miller at this point?
I don't own Miller anywhere, so I'm doing the same thing that I was doing with him, which is nothing. However, I'm not trading for him. I'm not doing anything like that. But the season's actually going exactly how I thought it would with the split, and Lamar Miller's efficiency has picked up. I just don't know if he's going to get the volume. I think the backfield and the offense will be better off, but I feel like they're just going to cannibalize each other to the point where it's going to be difficult to pick each one from week to week. And you did see after Foreman fumbled, he went back in and he ran angrier and he ran better. So to get back in as a rookie and fumbling, you saw it happen with Kareem Hunt. Your coach trusts you, and he looked better afterwards. So I don't know if I could. I'm not really doing a lot with Lamar Miller. I guess he's a flex from week to week, and if you got to start him, you can start him in a flex and hope you get 6 or 7 catches and then go from there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I only own him in one league, and the way the running back landscape is, he's probably a guy you're going to be able to find a home for in your lineups. Obviously,
we both feel sorry for you, Kyle, owning Lamar Miller.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you lose David Johnson, you get a little desperate. So I did make a trade for him, but it's been okay. I think what Tom said, you're really hoping that he gets involved in the passing game, and obviously against the Titans, he did that and had a great game. And if Deshaun Watson looks great and Nuke is tearing it up, Will Fuller's looking good, there is a potential for Miller to be a piece, but they do have to stay in these games. And if their defense is a mess and the opposing offenses are putting up big scores and Watson's having to throw, it could mean not so much good stuff for Miller. So
hold on. You're kind of contradicting your point, because that would actually, in my opinion, who's the better pass-catching running back? Actually, in that case, if they are playing catch-up,
you think Donta Foreman's a better pass catcher than Lamar Miller?
No, I'm saying Lamar Miller would get more.
But that's what I'm saying. We're all on the same page. I think Miller, but he needs that passing down work to be a reliable weapon. So if he's going to get that, I think he's good. I think if he's not getting that and they're in negative game scripts and they're not running the ball, then it could be a long game.
Yeah, I think to both your points too. We've also seen Deshaun Watson. He goes down the field, so he's not one of these check down. I'm just gonna take this and I'm down a lot. He's gonna try and get them back in the game. So if they're close, he might be more apt to dump off to Miller. If they're not, he's gonna try and extend the play and make something happen. So everybody's right.
He's the exact opposite of Brock Osweiler. Osweiler couldn't see 5 yards down the field, and Watson's staring down the field every time. And in Clemson he did the same thing, and he's got some stud down the field guys. So
and he throws it up. He will throw it up to his guys.
Yeah. I mean, if you can find somebody to give you RB2 type value for Lamar Miller, I'm not opposed to making that deal. Let's talk a couple more wide receivers just to keep you guys in the loop. Devante Parker, he exited with an ankle injury in one of the most frustrating games. Watching Jay Cutler versus Matt Castle was not fun. I was expecting a big season from Parker, and I don't know. But Parker should be fine for next week. We'll see if Jay Cutler can be better. And after their offensive line coach being replaced due to interesting circumstances, if you've seen it, what I'm talking about.
Well, now he was focusing on the wrong line. He should have been focusing on the Dolphins line.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out if he was on the coke because of the offensive line or if that's why the offensive line was so bad. So I'm really hoping the offensive line gets it together. We'll talk more about that running game here in a minute. And then Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson had a hamstring injury. He tweaked it, I think, on that 2-point conversion. He kind of tried to get his feet in as he's making a play and ended up not finishing the game. But they talked to him today. He said he's fine. He said it'll be good to go for next week. So, all should be fine with Jordy Nelson. But I think we should talk about one of the stars from Sunday, and that's Mr. Aaron Jones. 19 carries, 125 yards, a touchdown. Looked really good. Tom, where are you at with Jones, and kind of if you're a Ty Montgomery owner, are you worried or what?
I am definitely worried if I'm a Ty Montgomery owner because I think they're going to take their time bringing him back and making sure he's healthy. And then whenever that happens, you open yourself up to lose that job because Aaron Jones played really, really well well, he looked really good, and Aaron Rodgers has some faith in him. They will give him the ball. Was it 19 carries for 125 yards and a touchdown? Yep. That's what you want out of anybody, especially off of a waiver wire pickup. So yeah, I would be very worried if I had Ty Montgomery, and seeing him come back. I think he'll still get production because I think they could move him into the wide receiver or whatever. But
yeah,
as a running back production, he's not going to see the carries because the entire reason they have Ty Montgomery there is because they didn't really have any other running backs that they could depend on. And now that they see Aaron Jones is actually a little bit dependable and that boy can play,
yeah,
why are you going to put Ty back there? Now your wide receiver core is even better.
Yeah, and I think one of the things
one
of those things that I saw was they left Aaron Jones in on the final drive on situations where they knew they were going to have to throw the ball. Something that Ty Montgomery got taken out for last year. They bring in Ripkowski to block because they trusted because Rodgers couldn't trust Montgomery, and he clearly trusts Jones. I think your best point was this is going to allow the Packers to be patient. They're not going to have to force Montgomery back. If it takes 2 weeks, if it takes 3 weeks, this is a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. This is a team that can do a lot of dynamic things with their offense. And if Aaron Jones provides the best value behind Rodgers and they can do different things with Montgomery, they're going to find ways to get all these guys on the field. And one of the biggest things is Montgomery was going to give you that volume, and he was going to be a workhorse. And, he was that guy until he got hurt. So, it will be really interesting. I think over the next 2-3 weeks, it'll be the Aaron Jones show. I'm really curious. Obviously Randall Cobb has had moments. Devante Adams, I was so down on that guy, but he is a stud. 2 big touchdowns a week after Danny Trevathan with the cheap shot laid him out. I was shocked to see him play and to play as well as he did. Obviously Jordy's there. Obviously Martellus Bennett. So, there's a lot of depth, a lot of pass catchers. So it will be very interesting. But if you're a Montgomery owner and you don't own Aaron Jones, you need to change that this week. He's available in 43% of Yahoo leagues, which is crazy. Ron and I were here last week. We told you to add him, and it was a great spot, obviously, against the Cowboys. Ron, where are you at with Jones, I guess, and kind of going forward? Obviously, this was a nice matchup. We don't expect to, as many juicy matchups for opposing running games, but I think Aaron Jones, at least for the short term, is going to be somebody owners are going to have to start.
Well, Tom's right. I mean, he pretty much nailed it. I mean, we have to, again, remember that Green Bay Packers, were dead last in the league last year in rushing attempts. It's not like they're changing this offense all of a sudden, but then you have to think about the running backs that they had kind of in that stable in that backfield. So that really didn't inspire much confidence to run the ball effectively between the tackles. And we're talking about a guy, he went to small school UTEP. He averaged almost 150 yards, scrimmage per game last year. That's a ton. And 7.7 yards per carry. He led all running backs in the FCS with over 150 carries in college football last year. So that's pretty big number. I mean, you talk about the level of competition, all that stuff, but this guy can play. I mean, over his 4-year career in college, 71 receptions, 7 of those for touchdowns. So he's the kind of player that can make plays, and this offense can run it between the tackles. He can play that Starks role that I talked about last week, but he's way better than that. So I was a little surprised that Jamal Williams didn't get at least more snaps, and I forget what the number was, but I think he had
1 carry, and he looked pretty terrible with it.
I mean, it was the Aaron Jones
Extrapolate that 1 carry throughout the rest of his career, and he's terrible.
I actually think he's pretty good. But
I know, so do I. I'm just saying. The statistical extrapolation really cracks me up, especially when it's a really small sample size.
1 carry for 1 yard. So if he gets 300 carries, he's obviously going to have 300 yards. So, he's pretty much useless.
When's the last time the Packers actually had a legitimate, workhorse-type running back? It was Eddie Lacy, early in his career. So it's kind of been – they've been kind of searching for that back since, Lacy completely just blew up, and not in a good way.
Yeah. Bilal Powell left Sunday's game with a calf injury, didn't return. Obviously, Elijah Mcguire looked great 2 weeks ago. The run game was a complete dumpster fire this week. He's only 17% owned on Yahoo. Tom, is he a guy you're adding?
If I got the roster space and I'm losing running backs or something like that, it's not a horrible ad. I'm still adding Aaron Jones and another guy we're going to talk about a little bit later above him.
Hey, Tom, do you like him over your boy Smallwood? Just had to throw it out there.
No. Because I think if Smallwood comes back, I think he's that pass catching back there. Yeah. I'm not sure what Mcguire is in that offense, especially if Powell comes back. So I don't really like. I have a basic rule: try not to own like Jets or Browns players as a whole, and I feel good about that strategy in life.
Yeah,
now you can add the Giants to that list.
I watched.
Oh, they're there.
I watched the entire Jets-Browns game, like RIP my eyeballs, for a multitude of reasons. But
why were you being punished? They should put that in there with waterboarding against tortures that are.
It's basically they just gotta watch Josh McCown and Deshaun Kaiser on a loop.
Just do us a favor and black those games out so we don't have to watch them.
Yeah, no,
right?
that's
don't even
what
put them on there.
That's what I'm here for, folks. I watch Browns Jets for you. I like Mcguire a lot this week if you need a running back, but yeah, it's a murky situation, definitely. Ron, Andre Ellington, once again, the PPR monster, double-digit targets, looks really good. And Rob Kelly, between injuries and the bye week, is only 50% owned. Has a really nice matchup this week at home versus the 49ers. I think he's another guy to look at. Kind of rank these guys for, say, half point. Elijah Mcguire, Andre Ellington, and Rob Kelly.
I'm going to Ellington 1 because I think he has that role pretty much locked down. Yeah, he's not getting a lot of carries, but the receptions, the targets are there, and the role's there for him. God, I'm probably going to go Rob Kelly because he is coming back from the bye. Maybe he's a little more rested up and the injury, he's had some time to kind of get over that. And the offense, I like, obviously, any offense better than the Jets, maybe outside the Browns, but that's pretty damn close. For me, Mcguire, he's intriguing in a deeper league or a deeper dynasty maybe where you can look to add him if he's still available or, send out maybe a buy low offer for him. But, again, I don't have really that much faith in him, but we'll see. We'll see if Powell injury is serious and what kind of role he has moving forward, but I'm not that optimistic.
Tom, who's your favorite of the bunch?
Is Jones included in this?
No, he's too good.
Well, obviously him. But I'd go Ellington, Kelly, and then Mcguire. Yeah. Can we throw Marlon Mac into this mix, or do we want to wait to talk about it?
No. We can talk about Marla Mac and Matt Breida. Marla Mac, 9 carries, 91 yards, a touchdown. Also caught one for 2 yards. Pagano said he's earned more touches. That's something you were looking for. I still love Frank Gore, I always will, but he's definitely going to have some competition, especially in an offense that needs a big playmaker. And Matt Breida outsnapped Carlos Hyde, 49 yards and 10 carries, 3 catches for 22. Kyle Shanahan said it was just a hot hand approach. So, Tom, talk to me about the running back you're most excited about.
Out of those two, definitely Marlon Mac. If we're going to rank all 5 of them, I'm going to go Ellington, Mac, Kelly, and then Breida, and then Mcguire. I like Mac quite a bit because Indy's going to be losing, and he's going to be their pass-catching back, especially moving forward. If you get luck will throw it to a running back.
Yep.
And I just like Marlon Mac a lot better as far as the talent is concerned with Breida because they're trying to go a little bit younger there. So why not give the young guy the shot? If Frank Gore's got to sit, he's probably going to be gone next year anyway, but Breida and Hyde is a situation I don't want to get into because you could wind up with a goose egg or you could wind up with 15 or 16 points. You just don't know on a week-to-week basis. And these guys are all running back 2s or flexes if you're going to put them in. So you want a little bit of consistency if you can have some. And that pass-catching ability out of Mac is definitely going to give that to you.
Yeah, I think Mac's a really interesting addition. I still think Carlos Hyde's the guy in San Francisco. I think between the being banged up and kind of the way the game was flowing, Breida he's going to get touches here and there. And I trust Carlos Hyde going forward, but I do think Marlon Mac's interesting, especially because he has that big play ability. He can break one off. He almost had two big long runs. And like this offensive line is kind of a problem.
That's what he does, Kyle. He hits the home runs.
Yeah. And if you're looking for that, then and they're saying they're going to get him more involved, it's not just going to be in the run game. They're going to try and throw some screens to him and everything and get that big playability out in the open where he can be an airback like Ellington is when, he's actually good in catching the ball. But if you get him in space, he can make some things happen, which is what that offense needs.
100%. And they're not going to be playing the 49ers every week, so they're going to be in more negative game scripts, which can help.
Yeah.
So where does Marlon Mac sit for you, Ron, among the, Mcguire, Ellington, Kelly, some of those kind of guys?
Here's my thing. If I'm looking for maybe a safer floor type play, and I'm kind of a contender, I would probably lean more towards Ellington as number one. And then if I'm looking for upside, I'm shooting for the stars, moon, whatever, Mac to me is got to be up there. So if not, Mac's 2. I think Kelly because of the roll 3, and then I'll go Breida 4 and Mcguire 5. And I'm also not buying this BS about – a week ago, Hyde they were talking about giving him an extension and how he all of a sudden now he fits the Shanahan
you don't believe that they like him? I think
no, it's just Roto World, man.
I think the stuff in the preseason was a bunch of mumbo jumbo to get him motivated. I think they like him. I think he's really talented, and I think Kyle Shanahan's going to find a way to get his best players the ball, and I just think Carlos Hyde's there. But we'll have to see. Let's talk quarterbacks. We got a question from the chat, and it's a little ode to Tom here. Matt Ryan has been less than ideal.
Not ideal.
What are we doing with Mr. Not Ideal Matt Ryan? Obviously had the bye week. He has a really juicy schedule. Miami, at New England, at the Jets, Carolina, Dallas, Seattle, Tampa Bay. There's some opportunities in there. So, Tom, what are you doing with Matt Ryan? Is he a guy that if you sat with him through the bye, you're comfortable rolling out, or are you potentially looking at the waiver wire to say, hey, let me give myself a little insurance here in case things aren't going very well?
I think it depends on your roster, but in 98% of the cases, you're going to wind up rolling with Matt Ryan unless you picked up Carson Wentz or Dak.
You just stole my take, man. I was going to tell you. Dropped Matt Ryan in my 10-team keeper, picked up your boy with Carson Wentz, and I'm sleeping like a baby right now.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. If you have those guys, I would look to try and trade Matt Ryan to a contender and flip him and try and get a running back, even if it's a running back 2 or a flex or a wide receiver that can help your roster, even if you have to put Ryan with another wide receiver just to upgrade that. Yep. If you did that, you're utilizing your assets to the best of your ability, especially if you're not going to use them. You take that bigger name. The guys always want the bigger names in most leagues.
Yep.
You try and flip that. You take the more productive guy, slide him into your lineup, and the next thing you know, you get a net point gain somewhere. So if you can trade Matt Ryan and slide somebody else in your lineup, if not, you're probably just going to wind up rolling with Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, if you're expecting him to be the 38 touchdown guy from last season, that's just not coming. We've been telling you that since the beginning of the season. But if you have somebody in your league that thinks Matt Ryan is going to be, he'll get hot in the second half, and 40 touchdowns are still within the realm of possibility, and he's still got Julio Jones, and I'm very fine with you guys. I love that idea of trying to flip him into something. Even if you include say a Will Fuller or something like that, Devin Funchess, and then you upgrade at receiver, I think that's definitely a good way to go.
Here's the only burn to that idea, and I'm definitely 100% on board doing that if you can in your league. If it's a shallower league, like in my case, a 10-team league, there's so many quarterbacks out there. I mean, Goff was out there, Wentz was out there. I don't think he was even drafted, and it was a keeper league, so not that I would keep a quarterback, but keeping a guy like Matt Ryan, being able to pick up a guy like Wentz, you don't want to really, because it's one quarterback leagues out there. I mean, it kind of waters down the value of quarterbacks in general, and then opposing owners know that, and they're not going to offer you much in return. So if you can dangle them and get something like that, great, do it.
Yeah.
But if you're in a situation where you'd rather stash one of these other guys, maybe Aaron Jones was your stash, you picked up a guy like Wentz or a Goff that was out there. You'd rather use that extra roster spot if you don't have a deep bench for, maybe a guy that could hit for you, like a Marlon Mac type player. So I just hate rostering two quarterbacks.
I don't know if I don't think you can drop Matt Ryan at this point because somebody's going to snatch him up, and then the next thing you know, you're losing in the playoffs to Matt Ryan.
Yep. But I think he is definitely a guy that if you see somebody else who has a nice wild card on their bench, maybe you can flip him, or maybe you say, hey, I'll give you Elijah Mcguire, the feature back with the Jets, and Matt Ryan, and you give me something else, and then you do a little 2-for-1. I still think Matt Ryan has a ton of cred. But Ron, this is why we encourage everyone to wait on quarterback, and because there's always guys that emerge and guys that
I'm just saying in 10-team leagues where it's shallow, in 12-team leagues, in no way am I recommending cutting Matt Ryan. Just to preface that.
Yeah, no, it's tough to move quarterbacks in any league that's not a dynasty or a 2-team keeper league, or I'm sorry, a 12-team league or a keeper or whatever. It's tough to just spin a quarterback for anything, but if you can, give it a shot. If not, hope that he gets hot and then just roll with it.
Or have him go off against New England, or have him go off this week against Miami, and then all of a sudden his trade value goes up and people are getting frustrated with whoever they happen to have under center.
Do not sell him yet, especially the way injuries have happened this year. Somebody will get hurt, and if you can trade him, you'll get something.
Yeah, and let's talk about some of those quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford, ankle and thigh issue. Everything's pointing to him playing in Week 6, but we'll see. Marcus Mariota is still dealing with his hamstring. They're expecting him to play Week 6, but he has the Monday night game. So, guys, if you own Mariota and you're looking at Week 6, are you guys just planning on, especially if you can play a Wentz or play a Goff or play a reliable, you have a good option on your bench? Is it a wait another week on Marcus Mariota?
I think it is, especially if you have one of those guys that you mentioned. The only way you should feel comfortable is if he's probable going into the Monday night game, which you're probably not. They don't give that designation until Saturday, so it's still going to be a tough one. And the only way to even secure yourself, are you gonna start Matt Castle? No, you're not going to start Matt Castle.
I really hope. I hope the Titans don't start Matt Castle.
No, and the only thing you can really do is hope Jacoby Brissett actually goes out and does something. So that's your options. Those are your two options. You're going to cut somebody for Jacoby Brissett and hope Mariota plays. So I'm gonna. That's a hard pass for me.
Yeah, I think in deep leagues, if Brissett's out there and you can add him, I don't hate that idea. Just because the Titans' defense is a train wreck. But it's if you can start anything decent.
Say Mariota plays and you have Mariota and Brissett. Who do you like better?
I'm going Mariota.
It's disgusting that there's even a sigh from anybody at this point.
You have to play Mariota. There is. But you do. I mean, especially because.
But I'm not going to be surprised if Brissett outplays him, though. That's the worst part right now.
I won't either. Or if he's out there and running around and he tweaks it again, and then all of a sudden Matt Castle's your quarterback for the second half, then you're really hating life.
I was just going to say, realistically, do we actually think he's going to be out there for that game because it is the Monday night game? Maybe he has a little bit, another extra day, but I think more realistically, Week 7 at Cleveland Browns would be, a great time to bring him back, give him another week to kind of get right. Maybe they can win without him against the Colts. Maybe. I'm not saying they can.
I watched that game against Miami. They can't win against the Colts. I'd rather. I mean, it's so terrible because they have this great run of these great games where Mariota can go off, and he's just injured for all of them. So obviously. I just love how you're as confident in your team as I am in my team, Kyle. It's great, right? Well, that's why I drink. My team has had playoff aspirations. I don't know if that's the case anymore with that defense and an injured quarterback, but I don't know.
My team has playoff aspirations. Yee!
And where the hell is Corey Davis at? Because I mean that's who I want to see.
He's been out for like 3 weeks. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Derek Carr, another quarterback. Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota, I swear they're on the same wavelength. They know how to get hurt at the same time. They know to come back at the same time. All that good stuff. Derek Carr, it almost looked like he was going to play week 5. Obviously, they were smart and let him sit out 1 week. He should. Jack Del Rio thinks he'll play week 6. All expectations are for him to play week 6. So if you own Derek Carr, he's a fine play, and hopefully he gets back. And Crabtree was good with EJ Manuel. Amari Cooper, well, that's another story, but we'll see. Hopefully, Carr can come back and get that offense back on track. And then the Browns, I mean, Tom said never Browns, so that's probably the best way. But Deshaun Kaiser was pulled. Kevin Hogan comes in and looks like Joe Montana. I mean, he's chucking it all over. He was like 15 of 18 and drove him right down the field. And so probably not gonna. Yeah, Kaiser. They're supposedly undecided. I don't know. If I'm the Browns and I think Deshaun Kaiser can be the answer, and I do, I'm playing him as all season to know. Because if he's terrible and you don't think there's going to be a lot with him, then you can go out and draft Darnold or Rosen or Josh Allen or whoever you like. But if you are still sitting on the fence, maybe you end up kind of picking something else, and then who knows.
Here's my thing, Kyle. It's like
talk to me.
Okay, if they drafted him, what was it, second round? They obviously had enough confidence and faith in him to start him early and go with him. And then the fact that they're pulling him now for Hogan, I mean, to me, that just kills the confidence and development of
100%.
Quarterback, which, hey, that's
100%.
been the Cleveland Browns' MO for years now. So why change it? Why change anything? Continue to make stupid decisions. I mean, let the young rookie quarterback figure it out, go through his lumps, and he's going to have stretch. He's going to have bad games. That kills the confidence of a young quarterback by pulling him in those situations. So I'm totally against it. Maybe my own selfish reasons because I want to see Kaiser out there in my 2 QB leagues where I need him. But seriously, let the kid play.
Well, this is crazy,
I think
guys.
His confidence got shot as soon as the Browns drafted him.
Oh my God, man!
Miles.
And my favorite part though, every single time I hear Kaiser or anything to do with the Browns quarterbacks, is that they didn't think Carson Wentz was a top 20 player and couldn't be like a top 10 or 15 quarterback in the league. The amount of quarterbacks that they have passed on the last 2 years is
they also passed
sickening.
on Deshaun Watson, who's absolutely tearing
Was it a
up.
soft pass or a hard pass?
Oh, it was a hard pass. And they passed on Dak how many times? They had a ton of picks last year, too. I love it, Cleveland.
So Minnesota has replaced Sam Bradford with Case Keenum for the second half. So we'll see.
I don't think Diggs has one catch to this point.
Sure.
I was just going to make a joke, guys, that I looked at the score. I was kind of peeking over here, and it looks like a baseball score. I mean, was it 3-2?
Yeah, it's 3-2. It's hockey. Minnesota's playing the.
Are you sure this is not the Cubs playing? Actually, okay, no, it's not.
No, it's hockey. Yeah. So I don't know. That's something to keep an eye on. Maybe my Eli to Minnesota thing isn't as crazy as everyone thought.
Speaking to hockey real fast, we're going to go off script. I'm a Flyers fan, right, bud?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I feel fine about it.
Yeah,
I know you're a Pens fan.
Yeah, we're
we're arch enemies, and it's fine. Congratulations on your championship.
Thanks. We've been hoisting the cup for a while. My arms are a little tired, but someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it.
Right. We got kind of tired of it in being a Blackhawks nation here, so we're just letting you guys win.
Yeah, I appreciate the whooping your team put on us.
Sharing the love,
You guys, I think you guys beat us 9-1 or 9-2 over the weekend. It was lovely. It felt really good. Yeah.
I think Diggs actually has a catch now.
Woo! He is on the board.
Official.
He's on the board. Okay. So
miracles do happen, guys.
that is quarterback talk. I will obviously have my streaming article out probably Thursday. So if you're looking for options that can help you heading into week 6, if your quarterback's going to be out or whatnot, I will have a few names to target. Last week was much better than this week, but I'll get back on track.
Hopefully they listen to you on Aaron Jones and especially Will Fuller. I think you had him in 2 weeks in a row. I mean, those were good.
I've had Will Fuller since before he was coming back, and he put up back-to-back 2 touchdown weeks. So I'm feeling pretty.
What are you stalking him or something?
Yeah,
Kyle?
pretty much.
Confession here?
You know, you win some, you lose some, and you just hope to get enough right that people don't think you're crazy. So, so far so good. Charles Clay. We finally found a tight end that's not named Zach Ertz, Travis Kelce, or Gronkowski that you can actually trust, and he decides he's going to get hurt. So he's out multiple weeks. He had a knee scope, big blow. Obviously, tight end's just a wasteland, and I'm just thinking about taking it out of all my leagues next year and just having a flex where you can play a tight end because there's no reason to be this miserable playing these random dudes. I mean, obviously, it was nice to see Cameron Brate get back and do some stuff. But we had a handful of tight ends stand out in week 5, and I want to see if you guys trust any of them. George Kittle, the Niners, 7 catches, 83 yards, touchdown. Ed Dixon out of nowhere, 5 catches for 175 yards in a game where Devin Funchess and Calvin Benjamin both did stuff. David Njoku looked really good, 3 catches, 48 yards, found the end zone, and Safarian Jenkins, 6 catches, only 29 yards, but he found the end zone. PPR leagues, that's really nice.
It's a trap.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Tom, do you like any of these guys as potential streaming options or plays over the next few weeks?
Not particularly. I guess I would like Njoku, but he plays for the Browns, so I can't. Again, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yes, but no, I like him the most out of all those tight ends because Ed Dixon, is he really going to do that again? I don't think he's going to do it. He's not going to do it this Thursday against the Eagles, and if he does, I'm going to be shocked. Kittle, who knows if he's going to be able to do that again? Yeah. ASJ, 6 for 29. So you're completely depending on a touchdown, and we see how fickle that is. So, I mean, if you're really hurting, I'd probably rank them in Njoku, Kittle, Dixon, and then ASJ. But don't love that overall situation.
I do like ASJ and PPR because I think he is going to get work, but I mean it's 6-7 points and you really need him to get that touchdown. I think Kittle could be interesting, especially if he keeps getting the volume, but I don't know. It's really hard to predict what the Niners are doing on a week-to-week basis. They're doing enough to stay in games, though, which makes you feel pretty good. Ron, do you like any of these guys?
That's kind of a strong word when you're looking at this list of tight ends.
Circle yes or no, Ron.
You know what I like, Kyle? I kind of liked your idea of just doing away with the position altogether. It's just been putrid. I mean, with all the injuries we've seen with Gronk, Eifert, my guy Greg Olsen, I'm still, they're still
Jordan
crying
Reed.
over that one. Jordan Reed, well, I don't own him anywhere. You know that, Tom. But yeah, I feel you. And then to me, I mean, I guess if you want to go upside and opportunity and with the uncertainty at quarterback and young quarterbacks, yeah, I'm with Tom with Njoku just because of the talent. But are we really trusting a rookie tight end? No, I can't really do it. I mean, for me, Dixon, he is getting targets. I mean, he's had 9 targets over the last 2 weeks, and he's caught 8 of those 9 targets. Yeah. Also, again, with Tom, I don't see him blowing up for that many. A big play like he did last week with the 64-yard touchdown. Right, it was a 64-yard reception, but that's not going to happen again. But I guess the targets are there, so maybe he has a safer floor per se than any of these other guys. And after that, yeah, I guess I'll go Kittle. But I mean, he really hasn't done anything till this point to really make us believe that he's going to all of a sudden get consistent looks. So I'm not. Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess I'd probably go in that order. I'd probably go. For me, I'd go Dixon if I need somebody to start right now. Njoku for the upside. Kittle 3 for me if he gets some more opportunities, and then ASJ to me, I'm just waiting for him to do something else stupid off the field to get suspended again. So no, I'm not trusting him at all.
So Cameron Brate's available in about 20% of Yahoo leagues. Definitely a guy that's worth adding if you need tight end help. Evan Engram, who we all like, especially if you need volume, 69% of owned. So he's a guy that's going to be out there. And outside of that, good luck. You're just gonna have to go with streaming options and Guys like Ben Watson.
Hey, can I throw one out there though, real quick? And that's
No.
Tyler Higbee. Seriously, the Rams were running a lot of two tight end set formations early in preseason. You know, kind of breaking that out. I mean, he did lead the Rams in receptions and receiving yardage this week, which maybe is not a great thing for their offense.
No, but I think it's a good call, Ron. I mean, last week he had 6 targets. This week he had 8 targets. They're obviously finding more ways to get him involved. Jared Goff was throwing his way. I watched a lot of that game, and I don't think that's a horrible call. Like I would add him over any of the other guys that broke out this week.
Me too, Ron. Look at you.
Look at you, Ron. Look at you.
Hey, I mean, I had to pick a non-Browns or Jets tight end.
So you went with the Rams. I love it. I love it.
Anybody.
I love it. Okay, guys, let's talk about our dumps of the week, and we will get out of here. I am gonna go with Mr. Ben Roethlisberger. 5 interceptions, 2 pick sixes. Obviously we know about home Ben versus road Ben, and home Ben is usable, but this was at home. This was against Jacksonville. Like, is it time to stop just throwing Ben Roethlisberger on the field and, put him more in that streamer class and probably a guy, at least as of now, we want to avoid?
I'm avoiding him. Yeah.
Are you comfortable? Are you comfortable cutting him?
It depends on we keep going back to the same 3 guys, and then you can include Goff in there. If you have those guys, sure, because you know what? I don't want out of my quarterback somebody who's going to be, I don't know if I can really do this anymore. As soon as that self-doubt starts creeping in, that has to be the scariest thing in the world for the entire team, because that's Ben. That's your guy.
Yeah.
So I can't start him until he has a big game. So I will be a week late on him as opposed to a week early moving on with Ben, at least if you own him.
Yeah, I mean, Deshaun Watson and Mariota are both available in about 10% of leagues. Carson Wentz about 15, so obviously those guys will be hard to find in most leagues. But out there, Alex Smith has been good, 20% of leagues. But like Derek Carr got dropped in a lot of leagues, 30% available. Like that's not a terrible way. And then, like I said, I'll have my streaming article. So if you're looking for options, I'm probably looking elsewhere. I honestly, like, it may come back to bite me. It may be Cam Newton 2.0, and I may hate myself for doing it. But I'm comfortable throwing Big Ben to the waiver wire. What about you, Ron?
It's tough to do. I mean, I guess if we want to look at, his history and how putrid he's been on the road. I mean, he has played 3 of his 5 games on the road, so not making excuses for the guy.
But this one was at home. This one was.
I know
that's the scare. I thought this was going to be his big breakout, and it was not whatsoever.
Nope.
Here's the thing, though. I'll just like a 3-game window the next 3 weeks, because I mean, actually, they need to buy like this week. It looks like that for that offense to start getting some stuff together, but they got at Kansas City. That's going to be a tough task going into Arrowhead. So, yeah, no way am I starting him in that matchup. I'll take any of those guys that you mentioned previously over him. And then Cincinnati at home. He typically plays good against Cincinnati, hailing from Ohio. So I think he'll be up for that game. And then week 8 at Detroit. Again, this is a Detroit team that's played pretty good sound defense outside of maybe last week. And they can make some big plays. I don't like him at all in the next 3 weeks. And then week 9's the bye. So I guess if there's better options, you need that spot. Like I was saying, you don't have a deep bench. I'm okay with cutting him for the guys you mentioned, like a Goff. I mean, if a Wentz is out there, I'd do it like right now. Any of those guys, to me, I think are better options. Or even Andy Dalton,
You're in a discussion where you might actually want Brian Hoyer moving forward.
Oh God,
that's as crazy as it seems. It's really not. Like the Niners' offenses looked all right. They obviously have Carlos Hyde who can help provide balance, or Matt Breida, whoever's out there, and Pierre Garçon's a good receiver, and they have other weapons, and George Kittle's emerging. Like depending on the matchup, like that could be give me Brian Hoyer. Like this week, it should have been Brian Hoyer, and we shouldn't have thought about it, but here we are. Let's talk about the running back you picked, Tom, because I'm 100% with you. Jay Ajayi, obviously not only this week, but the past few weeks. He came out, looked really good in the early season, in week 1, and then all of a sudden it's just been all downhill from there. Obviously, the offensive line has been a mess, thanks in large part to the coach worrying about other kinds of lines, as we put it. What are you doing with him going forward? Where are you at with him? Because he's a guy a lot of people, including myself, took really early, and he's been definitely frustrated to own.
Yeah, he was a first or second round pick. He did not drop to the third round, and if he did, I don't know where you're playing, but he looks atrocious along with that entire offense. And so for the first game, he had 14.6 fantasy points in a PPR. The last 3 weeks, 17.8 combined. That is not good. I mean, the first week, 28 rushes for 122 yards. And again, he's not getting the PPR work. If he was getting a little bit more PPR work, he might be a little bit easier to deal with. But he is yardage dependent as far as if you have a bonus to get over 100 yards, that's what you're hoping on. Mm-hmm. And that's generally going to be 13 or 15, including the bonus. And then you're hoping for touchdowns. Yeah. That's the only way he's going to be productive at this point. And in the offense, if it's going to be game script dependent, as bad as the Dolphins have been, he has to run the ball early, and then he's not going to be able to get a lot of carries later on. So it's really tough to just depend on him at this time. I'm starting Aaron Jones over him this week in a league, and I will wait for him and that offense to get back on track until I start another Dolphin. I will start Devante Parker still. I will say that in a lot of leagues. I know you said you were expecting a big year out of him. To his credit, he's still on pace for, if you extrapolate just the first 3 games, a little bit less than 1,200 yards. And that's really quiet, basically, just because of the garbage time that he's getting. But again, garbage time counts. But
sure does.
Yeah, Ajayi is just, I don't think you can start him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, with the way the running back landscape is, you might have to. You might not have a choice. But yeah, if you picked up some of these guys, if you picked up Aaron Jones and Elijah Mcguire, like it might be a serious consideration.
Are you starting Buck Allen over him right now in PPR? I mean, that's how far we've come. It's
probably
it's bad, man.
Buck Allen's been one of those guys too that he had the big game and then he was quiet for a couple weeks. Now he's back, and the Ravens' backfield is just a complete mess. Ron, talk to me about Todd Gurley, because I'm with you here. This was a matchup that I was very excited about. Obviously, the Carlos Hyde went to Seattle and ran all over him. They've allowed running backs out of the backfield catching the ball. Gurley's been really, really good. I guess it was probably due for a down game, but it was definitely frustrating. Are you starting to have serious concerns, or do you think this was like a one-off thing?
Yeah, I don't really get it that, I mean, this matchup, with the Seahawks defense not playing that well, giving up some big games to some other running backs that you mentioned with like Hyde, who aren't as talented as Gurley. I think maybe we were seeing, him just completely just blow up early in the season. I don't want to say that he's going to completely regress and he's going to be the type of, outputs we're going to see from him moving forward. I just think this one particularly just kind of, for me, it was kind of perplexing because of the matchup, because of the fact they were still in this game. I mean, at halftime, it was tied up at 10-10. I mean, it's not like Seattle was blowing them out of the water and they're playing at home. So, why he only got 14 carries in this game? I mean, he only, averaged 3.1 yards a carry. So his longest run was 11 yards. That's what he was doing has been doing all season long, is breaking those long runs. And also, we've talked about it almost every show, Kyle, is the receptions. And it's like, I kind of compared him to Freeman, like with that floor being like really, somewhat high, because if he's getting those receptions, but he's going to be up there, whether or not he's scoring the touchdowns or not, or getting the yardage. But I see him kind of still as being that high volume type running back that you need, kind of like Jay Ajayi is. He needs those carries, and he needs to be involved in that passing game. And I don't get, he had 4 targets, but again, when Tyler Higbee's leading your team in receiving yards.
Anything.
and targets, 8 targets.
Yeah.
Well, he was tied with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. But, yeah, that's like what's going on with the game plan, and why do you just discount Gurley, and why wasn't he more involved? So maybe I'm giving him a mulligan for this one, but I've been saying that a bad game was coming for so long that I just had to throw him out there.
I think,
and I've been wrong, by the way.
I didn't really get to watch a lot of the game, but that looks to me like it was game plan dependent, and Sean McVay outsmarted himself as a young head coach playing against Seattle. That's what it seems like to me from an outside perspective.
Yeah, and they definitely, obviously, the Seattle had heard all this stuff about how bad they were against the run and how amazing Todd Gurley is, and they reminded everybody they're still a really good defense. There's a lot of weapons, and Jared Goff threw us 50 times in this game. Like, he tried to throw a lot, so partially was trying to catch up at the very end and score the game-winning touchdown, which he threw. He hit Cooper Kupp in the hands, and Kupp dropped it. But
Cameron Brate dropped it too. We're not beating up on him.
Yeah, but Cameron Brate gets like
no, I get
it. Yeah, he should.
I just one other thing, Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, one other thing with the schedule, they do have next up at Jacksonville, so I think that'll be a great test to see kind of how McVay, game plans for this team. I mean, they're the hottest defense out there right now.
Well, it'll be interesting too, because they, 2 weeks ago is when the Jets ran all over Jacksonville. So this should be a good bounce back opportunity for Gurley, and we saw what their secondary can do. So if Jared Goff, pull down those attempts a little bit, put more on Gurley's plate, and see how the offense kind of rebounds.
Yeah, but that Jacksonville secondary is pretty lights out though.
That's what I'm saying.
I hope this is not, circa 2015 when Gurley's first 4 games were amazing, and then he went another year and a half before he did something again. It's not going to be. I'm just saying that. But, 4-game stretches. All of a sudden,
anything can happen, Tom. You never know.
I mean,
anything can happen Monday.
Absolutely. That's what they say.
All I can say, Tom, is this matchup for Gurley, it's not ideal.
No, it's not. But I do believe I'm going to be picking a quarterback for the first time.
Okay. All right.
But that would be a good one. But I think I'm going to go quarterback with not ideal after I got roasted. I'm talking spit-fired by A.J. Green. So thanks a lot for that. But you know what? I'm still a Hall of Famer by many standards if we're going batting average. So,
absolutely.
Hey, you know what? And you know what? I was looking forward to my first loss because this article is going to be hot fire, boys.
Hey, Kyle knows he's a baseball guy. You can bat 300 and make it in the Hall of Fame. So that's like shoot 30%.
If you're hitting on 75% of your attempts, you're doing pretty dang good. Make sure you check out Tom's article each and every week on Fake Pigskin, talking about a guy that's not in an ideal matchup, a guy that you might want to look to avoid, and he gives you some opportunities, some guys that you could potentially start over him, and he's been doing pretty dang good for the first few weeks. Obviously, AJ Green's read his article and he's like, haha, we'll see about that, bud. But
So it was actually really funny. So I'm at the game and I got a text, and I'm in it's called Group Me, and it's a great time in a league with a bunch of these guys, and it's just constant talking back and forth. And I've been getting messages during this. I haven't been checking, but it's been blinking the entire time. And I get one. I don't know, 2 minutes into the Eagles game, AJ Green, not ideal. I just say, what happened? 77-yard touchdown. I'm like, I was like, well, there that goes. I guess I don't have to worry about that today. Yeah. All right. Thanks, all AJ.
Right. Tom, thanks so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun. As you can see,
I had a blast.
You can see Tom's Twitter handle. Make sure you throw him a follow. Check out all of his work over at Fake Pigskin. I will be back with Damien on Wednesday, getting you set for week number 6, everybody. Look for my waiver wire article. Look for all of our quality content over at Fake Pigskin, and check out the Draft app. Do some best ball or do some DFS this weekend on Draft. Have a lot of fun doing it. Oh, and you get free $3, and you get a year of Fake Pigskin. Damien writes an article that you guys can check out. So do all that good stuff. For Ron the Mad Dog McCleese. For Tom Corson, I'm Kyle Robert, and we'll talk to you guys.